So last night it was a 41-point win to Fremantle. Now your dark web had them to win by 32.5.
It's 9 points off.
Not far off.
You worried about Draper?
Yeah, he's not.
What's happened?
Don't know. He looks unsure of himself. He's just sort of. He used to have some flair. I don't know if he and Chapman have quite got on the same page together.
Why are they playing him on the best forward? I know Ryan can do both. There's a bit of McGovern in him, isn't there?
So they don't really want Ryan to be worried.
Well, maybe that is the difference.
Freedom.
Because McGovern would just play on the best and still do what he does. Because I don't see Ryan losing too many one-on-ones, unless the speed is a bit of a worry for Caddy last night. But maybe it's because he's playing on the best now, whereas I think he's more preferred to the second or third tall. So, yeah, he's a little bit of a concern with his form of late. Just lost a yard of pace or never had one.
Janine's nailed it. Thank you, Janine. Absolutely nailed it. MSU.
Okay.
Rightio.
Sorry.
So, let's just dissect. Fremantle happy, 5 in a row now. That doesn't happen very often in the modern game. They're tracking in the right direction, are they not?
They are, and they've got the draws sort of open up a little bit. If you look at some of the numbers from the game last night, so both teams have kicked 8 goals, 4 from turnover. So, and the way the game started, it was a bit of an Essendon ping-pong game. Eventually, though, Fremantle's best asset came through, and it's their clearance work. And I know their identity around the team defence, we've all seen Fremantle at their best, like number 1 or 2 it scores against now, intercept possessions, those types. But when they're really on, when they're going to win by over 5 to 10 goals, it's their clearance work. So plus 18 at clearances, plus 24 first possession, which means a possession's not a disposal, which annoys me. People talk about 30 possessions. They're not disposals. That's getting the ball. So they're 24 first possession from a ruck contest. So that's the first touch from
Hang on, if you get possession of a ball, then
it's not disposal. I know. People don't know that. It's ridiculous. It really annoys me.
Well, explain it. I don't understand.
Well, what's a possession?
Well, you get possession. You've grabbed it. You've got it.
What's a disposal?
You've got to get rid of it by
There's a
hand or
difference.
foot.
So there could be 4 ground balls in a little circle.
Yeah.
And then Luke Shuey picks it up and handballs it to Shannon Hearn, who kicks it.
Yes.
Well, that's the one that counts. You can get a ground ball and they get knocked out of your hand. And that's, you got the possession. So here's pretty much what it means. Fremantle have had 24 first possession from a ruck hit.
Yep.
But they had 18 clearances. So 6 times they got stripped.
Okay.
But isn't it amazing that people don't know that?
Well, no, I don't think it is amazing. I think you've just can you just for me?
No, it's not for you. It's for coaches. I had arguments for years, and this is going to bore people, but I don't care about possessions. I need effective disposal. So we would be really low at ground balls, which is a contested possession. And it didn't worry me because we were effective. I wanted effective disposals.
Give me 3 of the stat columns as a coach that you would prioritise.
Well, if you're a stoppage coach, first possession into clearance, that's really important because if you get Nick Nats shoving it down your throat, but you're not getting clearances, that's the reason why. You're getting stripped. And there's good opposition tactics to take away the dominance of a ruck. So that's really ground balls. As much as ground balls are important, I like effective disposals, not ineffective disposals, not ground balls or contested possessions. Hard ball get's not a disposal. It's a hard ball get. So I'm starting to ramble here a little bit, mate, but that's why our style back in the day was a little bit different. I didn't really value some of those stats that some people do.
Yeah. Caleb Sarong last night, 783 metres gained on the back of his 35 disposals, which is interesting because he had 7 clearances as well.
Yeah.
Fact is that he's not noted because he's such a in and under hand pass, sideways, backwards, whatever. But that's a lot of metre gain. He was a lot more than 200 more metres than anyone else.
Yeah, well, just to finish off on the stats piece, so they've won the clearances by 18 and they've kicked 8 goals, 4 from stoppages to 1 goal, 5. So that's the difference outside of all the other things they're doing well, Fremantle. But when they're really on, they're on in that area. And you can see when they went from good to great, it was from around the ball, from the clearances. And Sarong, he got on the outside more last night. He got in front of the play. And, I mean, metres gains a newish type of stat. And sort of people look at that a lot. But when you get 783 metres, it's almost a kilometre of metres gained. So if you want to get metres gained, kick it. And versus the handball, score involvements are high. I hold pretty high. He's had 6 score involvements because you can have 35 possessions and no score involvements. What have you done? So that's an important
Jackson
stat for
had
me.
11, I think, last night, did he not? Or 10 or whatever?
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the top possession getters, Brayshaw's had 5, and that's the knock sometimes on Brayshaw, and that might not be his role, but can you be part of a chain that's a score? Score involvements is you're in the chain of possessions or disposals. Score assist is you're the last one to give it to someone to kick a goal.
Essendon, young, some upside. The young kid came in, the 19-year-old ruckman. I thought Archer May presented, but again, Nate Caddy looks like he's the player that they're going to have to pay the big bucks to.
Question we might ask our boy later on who the best small forward it's not key forward in the competition is. Witherden, a big one to ask because Caddy, Darcy, and Cadman. There's some bloody good talent there, isn't there, coming through?
I think 90% would say it would be Darcy.
I know, yeah. I think we've gone a tiny bit overs on declaring him the unicorn. So time will tell. He's probably going to be that. But, geez, Cadman, Caddy last night, he looked really good.
Yeah, good.
What about his torpy down the wing?
Yeah, no shame. I'm just going to... And he had a bit... And he saw it on the screen. They replayed on the screen. And he had a smirk on his face.
Someone's got to measure that.
Yeah, they will.
It's gone 65.
Your mob love the measure.
The lab.
Yeah, the lab.
Am I creeping too much into the lab with my
Yeah, it's good. Hey, let's move on to tonight's game. We're doing this for Greenworks, Australia's ultimate battery-powered garden brand. Big game tonight down there at the Cattery, GMHBA Stadium. A special game, of course, 350 for Patrick Dangerfield. Oliver Henry in for Sam de Koning. Darcy Gardner, Will McLaughlin in for Jack Payne and Calamachi. 2 big outs for Brisbane because they're both very good players.
It's interesting from a coaching point of view what Fags does to measure what's happening because there's another stat which I don't look at, but there's a predicted score and it's not just how many points you've kicked. So if you have 30 shots and the opposition has 20, you should win. And for 2 weeks in a row, I think they've had 20 more shots than the opposition and they've lost. But it's not just that. It's where the shots are taken from, expected strike rate from a boundary line shot versus 10 metres out. So I know Fags is talking about we just got to kick straight and we'll be fine. I think it's a tiny bit deeper than that, but not a lot deeper. If they lose this one, it's 3 in a row, and then you got to start. They've got to buy after that. They look a bit tired too.
Oscar McInerney, if he's available, fit, he's been named as emergency, but they're going with Darcy Fort over Oscar McInerney. McInerney was a key component of their success last year.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure why. He's not really it doesn't really matter who they play, Brisbane. It's a bit like the Darcy-Jackson conversation. We don't care who we're playing. We're doing this every time. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Do you think there's any chance Brisbane? Because I don't. I think Geelong will win, and I think, that Holmes, Bailey Smith, Jeremy Cameron, Manor, Myers, I just think they're just so chock full of talent.
No, I'm looking forward to the game. Whether it'll count towards what happens, how fired up are Brisbane? Are they? Because you lose a tiny bit of hunger after a premiership, just a tiny bit, and you can't put your finger on it. Are they celebrating their wins as much as they used to? Are they doing the little things? So, should be a great game.
Your Dark Web says Geelong will win by 24.1.
Yep.
Carlton versus North Melbourne. We saw them both here last week. I really liked what I saw with North Melbourne, but can they go back home after 2 games over here and maybe cause an upset? Comden comes back in. Astonishing. I'm sure he fractured his shoulder.
Yeah.
In for Dawson, and Pitnet comes in for O'Keefe, and they've still named Charlie Curnow, but I'd be shocked if he played.
North are still working through. Their main strength is their clearance work. They've got to get LDU and these guys going, and if they don't go, then there's not much underneath. Their backline's vulnerable. They played way too much in front of Fremantle's forwards. And, Carlton, biggest strength, what we saw against West Coast, is their clearance and contest work. So my gut feel is Carlton will be too strong because they'll both match each other around the ball. Just on the outside, Carlton might have him by a little bit.
26.8 points according to the Dark Web.
MCG, North.
Yeah.
That's Sheasel's 4th game there in his career. Maybe 5th.
I know, when the clubs put out, and you've been at a footy club for years and years and years and years, when the club puts out a likely lineup, I think Gary Stocks used to do yours. He'd just sit there and he'd just go, we'll just move them around, and they play funny buggers. So North Melbourne continually put out their lineup,
yes.
And Caleb Daniel is named at centre half back.
Yeah.
It's an indictment on
Yeah, I have not done that in 11 years.
You would never have looked at a team, how it's lined up?
No. Sometimes you used to do the bench, put so-and-so on the bench.
Yeah, because you'd have your 7, you have all your emergencies and your interchange. Would you shuffle them around and try and...
I didn't care. But,
I used to grow up and listen on Thursday.
Good. When are you going to do that?
And as soon as I said it. Whackity whack whack. Thursday night, I used to listen to 6PR for the waffle teams, and they'd come on and they go, let's go to it's back in the late 70s and the 80s. It was gripping radio, and because you'd be waiting for your favourite player to be named.
Yeah.
And they go, let's go to Basil Fuller from the Subiaco Football Club from the back line. And they would name the teams in position exactly how they would play. I used to love that.
It's not very interesting what you just said, but when I was playing, this might not be interesting either. You didn't know if you were playing until you watched the footy show.
Correct.
And you'd go, you'd watch it, and if you're a young player, you go, oh, I'm in. And then the team meeting would be the next day. So they would pretty much say, you'll know if you're playing when you watch the footy show.
Which is incredible because it was
an AFL team.
Yes, and it was a non-broadcaster show. So you would have thought that the Channel 7, and it was way before, Channel 7 would have first rights, it was Channel 9, and they were a non-rights holder.
No, I think the AFL eventually said, look, we need the team half an hour before the footy show, something like that.
Correct, that's exactly what they did.
Trying to, because I don't know if the internet was going back then, but yeah, this is in the 90s.
Well, the footy show concept was started by Eddie Maguire, and originally it started with Eddie Maguire went to Channel 10 management and said, I've got a great idea for a footy show. And he said, well, how would it work? He said, well, I'd get some of the ex-players, and my mate Sam Newman would come in, Trevor Marmalade's going to do some comedy, maybe have a live audience. And they said, but what about the highlights? Oh, no, we don't need highlights. We don't really need to talk. We can break the teams first. No, it won't work. So he picked up his typewriter and went to Channel 9 with the concept.
Okay. It was good for about 6 years. And then
I loved it. Its remake didn't work. They killed it off. All righty. Hey, Port Adelaide to Sydney, 11th versus 13th. This game is at the Adelaide Oval. And taking a look at the lineup, some big ins for Sydney. Roberts, Goulden, Papley and Amati, Lockie Jones, Moraes and Berry come in for Port Adelaide. Their outs at Port are big too, Aaliyah and Ollie Wants.
I think Sydney half a chance. Yeah, people don't realise what Coxie's had to deal with this personnel. They're playing Hamling forward, and it's just been a difficult transition from what Horse had to deal with his team, all being pretty much available, to Dean trying to instill some new direction with limited availability of his top-end talent. So I'm hoping to get some players back, and I think you'll see Sydney. You wouldn't want to be playing Sydney the last 5 or 6 games, is my gut feel.
Collingwood take on, so the dark web, your tips. So this is for those who don't know, Simmo's found some sort of website that comes up with the predicting.
It punches all the analytics from Champion Data and it puts it in a data page.
No disrespect to Champion Data because they do a great job, but way too much airtime.
Champion Data.
Way too much airtime, Champion Data.
I feel like I'm slipping into it a little bit.
I think you are too, very much so. Anyway, they have 4.6, so I've got a close game, Port Adelaide. Collingwood, St Kilda, Lipinski in for Will Hayes, Taru, Philippou and Wilson. So the 3 future players of that football club right there, Ryan Burns and Zach Jones. No disrespect, I'm surprised Zach Jones has lasted as long as he has, and Jack Carroll goes out. Yeah,
I've been talking a little bit about the Saints without being too disrespectful to Ross. Just what are you trying to instill in they're rebuilding. What's the system we're looking for? If I'm a St Kilda supporter, what style are we trying to play? And my last couple of years, I was trying to play a different style or a new style that we could latch onto. McQualter's done it really well. It's just ball movement at the moment, but you can sort of see what they're trying to do. So you've got to start somewhere. I just don't know if the Saints have started anywhere other than let's try and not lose by a lot.
25.6.
Yeah, they could come out and do what they did to Freo a month ago and just have one. And they beat Melbourne 2 weeks ago.
So they won't be beating Collingwood.
Yeah. It's if they win at the moment, it's through coaching rather than system, which is a bit of a worry. But you'd think the Pies should win this one.
Toby Green, Stringer, Angwin, Ware and Leake in. Sam Taylor, Brent Daniels, 2 massive outs for the Giants. And Weller, Davies, Ethan Reid, Butterick and Farrah in for Lemons and Swallow.
This is a massive game, Goss. This is, from a fixture ladder point of view, those 2 teams... Huge. The Suns now are 7th, and I did something on Foxtel a few weeks ago saying they were a lock for top 4. But you know what I've realised? Like, tipping is a bit like your golf handicap. No one cares. No. So you can say what you want because tomorrow no one cares. So I'm sure they do care a little bit. But, yeah, this is a massive game. 7th versus 8th, and the Bulldogs are coming. Who are 9th?
Rightio, they are, and they've got a very big percentage. So the dark web, your dark web, says it's got a close game. Gold Coast, 6.6. Agree or disagree with that?
I disagree.
Yeah, you think the Giants will win?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. I think the Giants, Toby Greenback helps. And the last game of the round is at Marvell Stadium in a couple of days' time and 5 hours. And that is the Western Bulldogs taking on Richmond. Caulfield, Buslinger, Harms and Jacques in. Cleary goes out. Blight, Tresize, Lafau and Alga, if he comes in, makes his debut. Do you think, we think the Bulldogs, I still think the Bulldogs will make the 8 and I think they're a contender. Do you think Richmond is they could just starting to fatigue?
Have they just had their bye?
Richmond have, yeah.
Yeah, I think they needed that bye.
Yep.
So I'm looking for a spirited effort. I did a ladder predictor on Waitley when it brought me A game. I did a ladder predictor.
Are you fatiguing?
No.
That's his media
Mate,
stuff.
I'm used to working 70 hours a week. This is a walk in the park.
Yeah, but you were coaching a team where you had focus and you knew what you were aiming to do and you sort of had almost had a template of what was next for the day. I know you were very organised.
Template. I was doing MSU. That's what I was doing. No, I did a ladder predictor to round 20, post round 20, and I aired it with Waitley.
Yeah.
And I must have missed two or three games for the Bulldogs, so I had them ninth, but I missed 3 games. So
what a disaster.
Oh, boy. No one cares about that either. But no, the Doggies, they should win this one, really.
Greenworks, Australia's ultimate battery-powered garden brand. Yes, 55 is the biggest result. So last night, for those who are texting in, the dark web, had Fremantle winning by 32.7, so they weren't that far off the pace.
Yep.
It was 41. Okay, Oscar Allen.
Sure.
The statement came out yesterday that he's gone in for patella tendon surgery. Had that yesterday because they said that the original injury, the Achilles and calf, was likely, after more information, was going to keep him out anyway. Why do you think they've done this?
Common sense, I would have thought. So when you have an injury like that Achilles calf, there's the immediate injury, and then there's the 3 or 4 days it takes for things to settle down before you get a legit, this is what's going to happen. So people just got to understand out there the diagnosis on the next day or the Monday. Sometimes you just got to wait and see how the body pulls up. Not with every injury, but with some of them. So how many games left?
9.
9. So it's probably an 8-week injury.
Sure.
6 to 9, 6 to 8, whatever. So the first question they would be asking, and don't worry about the will he or won't he leave, but just the kid, just what he's going through. There's an 8-week injury there. You're probably not going to come back, do all your rehab, play 1 game or 2 games, and then go get your post-season surgery that you need. So he's carrying a knee that's not bad but not perfect, and that sometimes is, I reckon there's at least 5 players on every list that's, hey, end of the year, we're going to tidy this up. So it feels like they've said, look, it's an 8-9 week injury or 6 to 8, whatever it is. Why don't we get that knee fixed now? So when you hit pre-season or the off-season, you're not recovering, because a lot of these guys get surgery and it takes them 2 to 4 weeks to recover before they start jogging, then they start running, and then all of a sudden you're just a little bit behind come October when it comes time to train. So taking away the will he or won't he, it's the smart call to tidy up the whole body. The season's done. It's not great because he loves playing. Like, he's been playing a little bit sore, let's be honest. All right, and it looks like it's been that little knee.
So regardless of his future, the club owe it to him and he owes it to the club to get things moving as if he was going to play on next year for West Coast.
Goss, yeah. I mean, if they were really selfish, if they thought he was leaving the club, they'd go, no, you'll come back and play those last couple of weeks, and if you leave, you're getting surgery somewhere else. So I think they're doing the right thing for the player.
Yeah, he deserves it. He's a quality young man. He's captain of the football club.
I think the way they handled the whole Sam Mitchell thing really affected not just him but the players, and I just don't know if it felt great. But to the club's credit, they've worked well through this position.
All righty, and I'm going to ask you quickly, Jeremy McGovern.
Yeah, I don't know it doesn't. Radio silence, really. But
I think it's today, mate.
Yeah,
I have a sneaking suspicion there's something brewing, and I think we're going to get an answer today.
Yeah, and whenever that decision comes, you sort of half hope he can continue to play. I think he's on 197 games, so you'd love him to get to 200.
Yep.
He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, does he? The decision's taken out of his hands, Goss, so unfortunately it's going to be something he's got no control over.